The next shoot 'em up genre we're going to look at is definitely a classic genre. It's the horizontal scrolling shooter, and here's a game called Starforce Fighter. Here we have the front cover then, and it's not very spectacular, to be perfectly honest. It's got a reasonable sort of logo saying Starforce Fighter on it, and it's got a chap who looks like a normal jet pilot running towards what looks like a pretty normal jet, which doesn't reflect the game at all based on the screenshots on the back, which we'll get to momentarily. There's the spine of it, and there are the screenshots. So as you can see, it definitely looks more like a normal horizontal scrolling shooter, possibly inspired a little bit by Iridium. We'll soon find out. And you've got some blurb on the back. Fly one of the few Starforce fighters against the robot ships of the whatever empire in a desperate battle for the defense of the Earth. Music or sound effects. State-of-the-art 3D graphics. They don't look very 3D to me. Destined to become the new classic shoot 'em up. I find that very difficult to believe, to be perfectly honest. Inside we have the instructions, and I think you can guess the plot already. Basically you've got to fight some aliens, so let's not dwell on that. It's got some controls, joystick and port 2. You've got onboard shield. You start with a limited amount of shield. Enemy ships generate shields by joining together. They do not have shield when they are apart. Okay, you can get power-ups, and you've got to negotiate your way through a meteor storm at the end of each wave. Sounds fairly interesting. Got some scoring there. Got some loading instructions. Pretty run-of-the-mill stuff. And that's pretty much it. So here we have the title screen and the high score table, which rotate in very quick succession. So the title screen's got the coder's name there, Kevin Oxland. Title screen by Steve Helly. And just hang on a second. The music is by Hal Beban. Otherwise it's a pretty nondescript title screen. It's got a nice scrolling star field in the background, and the music is pretty cool. Quite atmospheric. The high score table is a very unpleasant shade of brown, which you can't even read very well, but never mind. So let's commence the game. And you'll see it's a pretty straightforward horizontal scrolling shoot 'em up. You get waves of enemies coming at you, shooting at you. Some of them shoot at you, some of them don't. You'll notice at times I can't actually shoot them. When they're all grouped close together, touching each other almost, then you can't actually shoot them. They're kind of invulnerable or something like that. You can hold down the fire button to auto fire, which is quite useful. You'll have noticed periodically I'm picking up power-ups. You can't really tell what the power-ups are until you pick them up, but this one's just kind of like a force beam thing, which isn't very useful. Oh, crashed. There are various power-ups. One of them turns you invisible, which is interesting. One of them gives you a shield, one of them gives you something that stops the enemy firing, which is particularly useful because it's bloody almost impossible to see the bullets coming at you. They come at you so quickly and they kind of blend in with the background that you do tend to miss them, especially when you're firing constantly back as well. So this is a shield, which obviously is quite useful because it stops the bullets killing you. The graphics are pretty nice. They've got a kind of metallic-y sort of a sheen to them, which is pretty cool. And basically it's just a case of scrolling along and working out. This one actually slows you down, which I'm not sure is a good thing or not. In a way it's useful, in another way it's not. It depends what's coming at you. Ooh, that was close. The graphics have got a nice metallic-y sheen to them, I was just about to say. There we go, I'm speeding up again now. Oh, annoying. It's a very frustrating game. The graphics, as I've said several times, are kind of reminiscent of games like Delta. There goes another life and that's game over. Kind of reminiscent of games like Delta by Thalamus, which probably came out around about the same time. Also a game like I.O. So they've got that sort of metallic look to them, which a lot of Commodore 64 shoot 'em ups had, to be fair. So nice music on the high score entry screen, typical arcade style entry screen. Let's give it another go, and I can show you something quite interesting about the game. When you start it up again, you'll notice that this time around all the graphics have changed colour, and that happens every time you play, which is sometimes a blessing and sometimes a curse, because it depends on what colour you are, makes the bullets even more or less easy to see. They're actually quite easy to see on this one, but it didn't do me any good. Sometimes it is better just to try and avoid things, otherwise that happens. The number of times I've flown into that bullet in the middle there, getting ridiculous now. So this power up means the enemies don't shoot back at you, which is quite useful for as long as it lasts. And the sounds, well, they're pretty run-of-the-mill shoot 'em up sounds. When you collect a power up, you might recognise the sound as being from Whizball, I think. And as you can see, I've now got the invisibility one, which again is half blessing, half curse. You can't get shot, but also you don't know exactly where you are, and when you suddenly it wears off and you rematerialise, then you could be in trouble. I've got away with it that time, however. So the enemies fly in various formations. Oh, there's a slowdown one again, which once you get used to, you should be able to avoid most of them. I never quite got used to it all, to be frank. Oh, that was almost dangerous. And I'm speeding up again. And I'll slow down again. There is one that speeds you up as well, which is particularly manic. And so it plods along, and eventually, if I can get there, get to the next part of the game, which seems to be eons away at this point. Oh, there we go, I've got to it. And basically you have to go through this meteor shower, which is pretty much exactly the same as the third level of Scramble, where you basically just got to avoid all these missiles firing at you. Missiles? Meteors even, firing at you, and navigate to the end. It's not that challenging, in fact I've just done it. And then you get to a bonus level, which is one of the most boring bonus levels I've ever played. Bit more Whizball sounding music in the background there, sound effects I mean. So basically as you go through this, all you got to do is collect these items, as many of them as possible, each one of which bumps your score up by 20 points. There's nothing stopping you from doing that, there's nothing trying to stop you from collecting them all and crashing into you, so you just carry on going until eventually you get to the end of the bonus stage, and then I will get to the second level. And if you thought the first level looked quite difficult, the second one, from my limited experience so far, is even worse. This just goes on for too long and is incredibly tedious. The game as a whole is not too bad, it's quite playable, it's reasonably well programmed. There we go, that's the end of that level. Let's see how long it lasts on this one. So this one's got quite a nice background. Oh god, but the thing's shooting at you, that's it, game over. It's just impossible. The things are shooting at you so madly and spinning around, you've got next to no chance. There is some nice background graphics on that, but that's pretty much it. There's probably not much point in me playing through again. I'll perhaps have one more go and see if I can get to the second stage, but I don't hold out much hope for that. So let's just talk through. As you can see, I'm now a browny red colour, which makes me blend in nicely. Oh god, the number of times I've done that makes me blend in nicely with the background. Quite why this shows brown for the score readout at the top and bottom, I'm not sure, but there you go. Slow down again, there goes another life. You can see this isn't going to happen. It's an incredibly challenging and frustrating game. it's probably just about worth the $199 asking price, given that the comparable games of the time, such as Delta, were not much more exciting in that you just scrolled along and shot stuff and collected power-ups. The graphics are pretty similar as well. And they would have cost like $7.99 or something like that rather than $199. So in that respect, it's worth the $199 asking price. It is very hard, as you've just seen, but by today's standards it's a pretty mediocre shooter. I don't think you need to see any more than that.
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
2, 1, 0.